We are on air. Clay, how are you out there?
Doing great. How's it going?
I'm doing very good. I'm doing very good. Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, I can hear you great. If you have any trouble with audio, just let me know. I can turn it up or down. Everything sounds good?
Everything sounds good to me, and I know that we are starting at 9, so it'll be interesting to see. I think it looks like it might be actually starting us on now since I hit start broadcast. Yeah, I think there we go. We are out there.
Okay, perfect. And if any of you guys out there watching are having trouble hearing or there's any issues, then just kind of type in the comments and we'll take a look at that and try to fix it for you. So if there's anything going on that's a little funny, then let us know and we'll get it taken care of.
Yeah. So all right. So I just had some of the back feed there, Clay. But yeah, guys, couple of things if you're out there, and we'll kind of re-announce everything at 9 o'clock. But if you're out there, if you see below the video, there is a Facebook comment section. So if you have any questions, you can basically ask them there. We're going to keep checking in. I believe there's a little bit of a time delay. So I'm not sure what that gap is. I think it varies depending on the call. But I do see that we are live on the website and we are yapping away, Clay. So that's much better than last night.
Hopefully everything goes smooth.
Did you hear what happened to me last night, Clay? Did you hear what happened?
You guys had a little trouble, didn't you? I was actually out playing tennis last night. I didn't get to see
We had a
it.
lot of trouble. It was an absolute nightmare. We were trying to go on. I was using this one software called RunClick, which is specifically a webinar software, and it just would not go live. And then I think when we went live, I think what happened was we were like 7 minutes ahead or behind. It was just weird, and so you have no idea how relieved I am to be talking to you right now live on a website.
That's good to be here. Did you guys
And
get it figured out?
I want to apologize to everybody out there who tried last night, and I know everybody's time is valuable, and you know I tried my best, but it wasn't good enough last night, and I do apologize. So
Hopefully it goes smooth today.
I think it's going to go pretty well. I have a good feeling about tonight. So I'll be checking in on the page. Guys, if you're out there, I will be checking in quite often to see if you're... Somebody said loud and clear. Okay, so someone has given us the go-ahead. It's loud and clear, Clay.
All right, good deal.
And we are officially 2 minutes away from the start, so I'm not going to kind of start until we get to 9 as far as just going into our introduction. We'll maybe just make sure more people can hear us pretty good. But so far, so good. So that is exciting. If anything happens, guys, you are kind of our eyes and our ears out there. If anything happens to where you cannot hear us or cannot see us, let us know that. Give us, hey, you guys have left or things like that. So somebody said no voice. Michael says no voice. I hear you good.
Yeah, I can hear you fine also.
Does anybody else hear no voice? I'm going to type back to Mike. Are you sure? Because I think we're going pretty good here. So somebody said no voice.
Yeah, I just checked mine on my screen and I noticed that by default it's turning off the microphone. So if you hover over the screen on YouTube, if you look in the bottom left, there should be an X by the microphone by default, it looks like. So they may need to turn that on.
Okay.
Audio.
Mike, did you hear that? By default, if you take your mouse and go right under the video, it's going to come up with a black little strip and a red strip, and then there's a microphone. So now, of course, he can't really hear me say that, so it's not making sense.
He'll hear you in a couple minutes, I guess.
He may hear me in a couple minutes, but I don't know if he can figure that out. Um, so anyway, let's see how many people we have. Right now we have 39 people out there, Clay.
Okay, good deal.
And guys, if you're just joining, because it seems like people are joining every couple seconds here, we do have a couple of housekeeping points for you. Number one, first of all, thank you guys for coming back after last night. I just want to really thank everybody. It was a nightmare last night, but I'm happy we're live. And also, we did put a Facebook chat thing up. So if you want to make a comment, all you have to do is comment under the video, and we will be checking them periodically. In fact, I'm going to refresh my screen right now. And other than that, just keep kind of checking in with us and let us know if you have any things out there that you can't hear. People are going, I hear. So Scott Levy, thank you. Scott Levy says, I hear. Marty, I love it. Marty's on. Marty says, so far, so good. No problem. Steven says, loud and clear. Kevin, sounds good to me. I hear you both. Mike says, voice okay now. And Mike is a great guy. There's a couple people from Tennis Fantasies out here, Clay. And when you go to Tennis Fantasies, you literally become friends for life, I think. It's such a great bonding experience. If you love tennis, it's basically the best week of your life. You're living in a tennis field of dreams, and so it's really cool. All right, so we're past 9 o'clock, so let's go into what we're going to be doing today. First of all, leave some comments. I'll check in a couple minutes. My name is Peter Freeman from Crunch Time Coaching. Many of you out there may know me or may not know me, and just been introduced through the Legends course and watching the great videos with Rod Laver and John Newcomb and Fred Stolle and Roy Emerson, which was an absolute dream of mine to be able to do that, and an even cooler dream to be able to bring them into your living room. So just, if you guys could just leave some comments, I think it's great, and it was a dream come true for me. But if you're out there and have gone through the free videos, or the even if some of you are now new members, I would love to get your feedback and know what you guys are thinking about the material. And also, the point of this week, too, is to bring people like Clay on, because if you end up going in and purchasing the Legends course, do not make the mistake, even though the Legends are unbelievable, do not make the mistake of that is all that's in the course. Tennis One put a 3-hour serve and volley course alone in there. Clay has material in there. He's actually got a free membership inside there that he's giving away. And if you saw Clay on video number 1, he's unbelievable. The guy, I was talking today to get ready for this, and he's so interesting. So I'm going to be doing a lot of the talking right now, but when I hand it over to Clay, you're going to be just blown away by the way this man thinks about tennis and improving.
No pressure, huh?
Well, yeah, I know you're going to deliver. I know you're going to deliver. So, Clay, let me introduce Clay Ballard to you guys. He's from Top Speed Tennis. You can go to topspeedtennis.com. He's all over YouTube. Clay, when did you start and get on YouTube for tennis?
I started in, I guess it was around July, maybe, of this last year, starting to put up some tennis videos. I had a few before that. I had a few videos before that, but I started doing it kind of full time in July. Guys,
what YouTube is ranking on right now, just so you know, a little technical kind of nerd stuff for you. YouTube ranks their videos on watch time, meaning that if people come to your channel and they watch the majority of your video, they're going to show that video more and more. And Clay must be getting people to watch a lot of his videos from beginning to end, because he started in July. And how many views do you have right now?
I'm not really sure exactly how many I have. I know I got about 9,000 subscribers, something like that. So it's done pretty good.
Yeah, 9,000 subscribers. I mean, the guy is just, people really love him, and it's because he's so interesting. And so
I appreciate everybody tuning in. I mean, that's really, we couldn't be doing this. I mean, this is the best job in the world, being able to do sports instruction for a living, and it really comes down to, I like to, everything I do is kind of like a family. Everybody that tunes in is part of the thing, and if you sign up with Top Speed Tennis, you're part of the team, and you can contact me anytime in the comments, and that's the way I like to look at it, and I think I have a great time with it, and I appreciate everybody tuning in for stuff like this to allow us to be able to do this. I mean, this is pretty cool.
It's very cool. We got 65 viewers, I think, out there right now.
Oh, nice. Good.
So Clay's topic, if you saw him in the first video, he talked about Rod Laver going over the shadow strokes and the science behind what Rod was doing it, and he called, he said that you can build up what most people think about as muscle memory, as far as building myelin around the neurons, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, whenever muscle memory, the muscles really don't have much to do with it. It's really your nerves. So your brain, anytime you're going to do a movement, your brain's sending out dozens of signals all over your body, and it's telling your body what to do and which muscles to fire and when and how hard to fire. So when you're looking at a great athlete, that's what you're looking at. So the myelin is actually the coating around the nerve itself. It's a fat coating. You can kind of imagine like electrical wire, or the metal part in the middle is the actual signal that's going through the nerve, and then the coating around it's almost like the plastic coating that's on electrical wire. It allows it to be that much faster. So we'll get in that in the presentation, but that's what it's all about. The more myelin you have, I mean, that's the basic takeaway of it. Whether you're playing tennis, basketball, baseball, football, anything, the more myelin you have, the better you're going to be. That's what it really boils down to.
And one thing that was interesting about Rod, he did that exercise, and then Clay, you followed up beautifully, I thought. That's why I asked Clay, can we put this in? Because it's one of the things that he put inside of the Legends Guide. I watched the video. I'm like, this is awesome. We got to put this in here. And Rod, when I was interviewing him, it was so funny. There'd be a couple of times when he talked about like Serena Williams or even himself, and just kind of say, well, natural talent. And then in his next sentence, Rod lots of times would talk about how he would practice till midnight, like on a regular basis. So, I think all that repetition kind of drew the natural talent right out of Rod, and he worked really hard to become one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player in the world. So Clay has a very interesting take on that whole thing as you're born with talent versus, what can you do to put the odds in your favor and develop what many people will think as natural talent. So
yeah, exactly. So
talent versus the science, and I'm going to hand it over to Clay to expand on what we were talking about in video 1. So go ahead, Clay.
Yeah, great. I'll do a little presentation here. Just got a few slides for you guys, probably 10, 15 minutes, something like that. But if you have any questions, be thinking about questions that you may have about how this applies to your own tennis, and after we're done, or even during the little slideshow here, we can type those in, and we'll get to all those. I'll stick around here for as long as anybody wants to and answer any questions anybody has. You want me to go ahead and go to my screen share and go ahead and start with that?
Yes, absolutely, Clay. You're on, my man.
All right, perfect. Let me just turn it on here.
By the way, Scott, who bought the Legends course while you were getting that ready, said lots of content, looking forward to going through it. So he's liking the course.
Oh, great. Yeah, there's a lot on there. Okay, so can everybody see the main slide now? You see that, Peter?
Yeah, I was actually reading through the comments. Let me get back there. I do see it. So when I shut up, it will be all on you.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, like I said, you guys tune in. If you have any questions, anything like that, then go ahead and type them in, and we'll go ahead and get started. But really, the topic for today is, like Peter was mentioning, it's about the natural athlete. And I think that the media and movies that you watch and newspapers like to build up this idea that you're just born with it. There's super athletes out there, and that you kind of either have it or you don't have it. Now, before we get started in all this, just to give you kind of a forewarning of what this is and what it isn't, this isn't a quick fix type thing, and really my system and the way that I coach really isn't about a quick fix. It's not about you pick up magazines or hear things here and there, and you do one tip and it's going to give you 30 miles an hour more on your serve, and you're going to be a new player, and it's going to be amazing and all that great stuff. But I think we all know deep down that that's not. It takes some hard work if we want the results to last. So it's not based on something where you're going to play good tomorrow and then you're going to play bad the next day and then kind of flip-flop around. This is really about generating those lasting results, but it is through hard work. We're going to talk about two main things. There's really two big questions that I think we all have as athletes. We're all athletes on this call here, and two main questions that we all have for ourselves. What is it that separates the great players from just your average Joe down the street? And then also, what can I do to be a great player? Because that's great to know what they do, but how the heck can I be a great player too? That would be nice to know. And as I mentioned in the media, what they kind of tell us is that there's just a chosen one. There's lucky people. There's your Michael Jordans, your Roger Federer, and they're just born with it, and they're the chosen ones, and that they're destined for greatness and that kind of thing. And I would say probably about 5-6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. I guess it's been longer than that now, but there was a book written called The Talent Code, and I recommend anybody who wants to be a great athlete to read this book. And this is where it really all started for me. And I can remember this, like it was yesterday reading this book, because it was amazing what he talked about in this book. And it got me on kind of my journey for figuring out how this all works. So in this book, The Talent Code, the author, Dan Coyle, went and researched different areas throughout the world. So there's a good example that relates directly to tennis is the Spartak Tennis Academy. It's in Russia. This one little tiny tennis academy put out, I believe at one time, more top 20 players in the world than the entire United States put together. So I don't know if that's still the case or not, but at that one period of time, they were putting out tons and tons of great players. Anna Kournikova, I believe Marat Safin's parents both taught at the academy. Like some amazing players come out of there. And then other places throughout the world too, like Brazil and South America, they play soccer down there, and they were having all these superstar athletes come out of like one little town in Brazil, and they're trying to figure out. He was really interested, and I think anybody would be. Is what's going on there? Is it in the water? Is it genetics? What's happening that's making these players great? And he actually found kind of a code into tapping into your athletic ability and to getting it as good as you can get. And he backed this up with science. So he went and interviewed one of the people that he talked to. I was actually on the phone with him yesterday. Is Dr. K. Anders Ericsson. He teaches at Florida State. He researches this type of stuff. He's the guy that came up with the 10,000 hour rule, if you guys may remember. The 10,000 hour rule is basically talking about how long it takes to be a superstar athlete. But research a lot of this stuff that figures out what makes great athletes, and that's kind of what started the whole thing for me and got me interested in it. And that's what we're going to talk about today is what did he figure out in this book, and what have we figured out through other things too. So the first question, as I mentioned, was what makes a great athlete? And this is what we visualize. We visualize somebody that's 6'7", really muscular, very strong, can pick up a truck and throw it across the room kind of thing. That's what we picture as a great athlete. But in the real world, that's not what it's like at all. I mean, if I took these four guys and I didn't know anything about tennis, I'd never seen them before, I wouldn't have visualized that these are the best players in the world. They just look like your average Joe. So there's obviously something going on there that separates them from everybody else. I mean, to take a normal person and to have that kind of coordination and speed, there's something behind the scenes that's going on there that allows us to do that. Really what it comes down to, and what he found in this book, and what research is finding out now, is that it comes down to your neurological system. So as I mentioned, anytime you're going to hit a forehand or a serve or anything that you're going to do, your brain is going to be sending out signals all over your body. It's going to be sending out coordinating your hand and your arm and your legs and hips and all that kind of stuff to get them timed up. So if I want to hit, let's say, a 90-mile-an-hour forehand, I have a lot of stuff I need to do in a very, very fast period of time correctly if I want to hit that forehand well. And if I'm going to rip that forehand, I need to have a really good neurological system to be sending that signal. The problem with this is that an undeveloped or a completely untrained neurological system can be sending signals out of your brain as slowly as 2 miles an hour. So whenever you're getting ready to hit that forehand, let's imagine you're a beginning player, the signal coming out of your brain and traveling through these neurons is going a lot slower, and it's an untrained signal. As you start to work on this more, and as you grow myelin, which is the picture on the right, so this cartoon on the right, the yellow kind of cord in the middle, that's your axon in the nerve, and then there's fat that's wrapped around this cord, that's the blue coating around this. Well, as we build up myelin, that signal can travel much, much faster. So instead of going 2 miles an hour, now that signal can travel up to 275 miles an hour. So extremely, extremely fast. And just to give you kind of an example of what type of accuracy it takes, between two nerves, when you're doing a high-level performance, so hitting that 90-mile-an-hour forehand, you have about 1/4000th of a second for that nerve to make the correct choice of which nerve to pick next and which sequence to go into from one nerve to the next. So it's got to be really, really accurate, and it all comes down to how much of this myelin we can build on there and what we can do to get that myelin. That's what's going to really separate us from a poor player to a great player.
And Clay, just as you're saying that, I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. First of all, that's awesome. I mean, I could listen to that all day. I just love it. But I would as I'm hearing you say that, I'm also picturing some of the people that I coach and really want them to do well, and you see all of a sudden in the tight situations, their strokes go away even more. So I would imagine that maybe that's where things get kind of rough for people, is they're shooting at 2 miles an hour, like you said, from the brain to the actual point of what the activities they have to execute in a short amount of time. Now, when you put the nerves in there, could that slow things down even more?
Oh yeah, I mean it really comes down to how well that's trained. So a good example of a way to think about this is your signature. And you've been doing your signature the same way basically ever since you learned to write, or at least in the general context of that. Now, if you were in a high pressure situation and you had to perform, I bet you could sign your signature and do pretty well at it. You probably wouldn't mess up the letters. You probably wouldn't leave any out. You'd be fine, because that's so trained and ingrained that you have tons of myelin going from your brain to your hand that has the signature. Now, for an untrained, go back to when you first learned to write when you were, let's say, 2 years old, and you're just learning to write your name. Very, very difficult. Kids will sit there and it might take them 5 minutes to write their name because they have to think about each individual letter and how to make that shape and how it works. So that's kind of the power of this myelin. The only thing that changed is repetition and doing repetition the correct way to build that myelin so you can do it. So the more that you kind of take these key points that I'm going to go over today and put them to work, the better you're going to be able to perform under pressure for sure.
Guys, does that make sense to you out there? Does anybody have any light bulbs going off in their head right now? Give us a comment on Facebook, because I think what Clay just talked about is super important for people wanting to get to that next level and be able to play and stroke the ball the way they want to stroke it in a match situation. So let me know out there if we've kind of set off any light bulbs for you, or if you have any questions about what Clay has just gone over. And I'll be checking in the comment section as Clay continues his presentation. So keep going, Clay.
Yeah, cool. And like I said, does anybody chime in? Get any questions? I'll be sure to answer them as I'm going here, and definitely at the end also. So here I've got a couple pictures of how this really looks in actual snapshots of this. So in the picture on the left, about 60% of the myelin, the neurological system altogether, develops from when you're born to about 3 years old. So you're really supercharged when you're first 3 years, and then you're going to build myelin the rest of your life. Though we'll get to how in a little bit, but you can see in a newborn, you're looking at these neurons here, and they're pretty spread out. They're not really interconnected, and they're not going to be able to transmit those signals as accurately. Whereas if you take a look at this third slide from a 3-year-old, completely, really, really developed, very intricate system from there. And that's going to allow you to be much more accurate and coordinated in those types of things. The picture on the right, I think this is really cool. The picture on the right shows a really myelinated neuron. So you're looking at that. You remember that yellow cord that we just took a look at? That's in the middle here. And then this dark gray material, you can see it's wrapped around in layers. It's actually called oligodendrocytes is what wraps it on there. You don't need to know that, but as it gets more and more layers, it's getting more insulation, and that nerve's going to be able to fire faster. Whereas if you look at these other neurons, you can see that from some of these other ones, they have very little myelin wrapped around the edges of them. So when you're looking at this could be one, as we're talking about, for your signature. You've done your signature so many times, really ingrained, a lot of myelin on it, where one of these other ones doesn't have as much. It may be something that you're not using that neuron for much of anything, or a task that you don't do, I guess. So moving on here, the good question, and what I said before, it really matters, is how can I personally take this information and apply it to my game? What are some rules that I can follow to build this myelin? So we know it takes supercharged neurological system, a lot of myelin to become a great athlete. How do we really lay the myelin on and get better as soon or as quickly as possible? And it comes down to, for the everyday person, it really comes to building habits, which is what I like to call going on autopilot. So as you build a habit and you do this in a certain way, you're going to lay kind of the highway for that neurological system to hit the forehand and develop enough myelin to where you don't have to think about each individual piece of that, where it's going to just happen naturally. And then from there, if we get really good, like the guys in the legend course, Laver and Emerson, or Nadal and Federer and all these great players, and we can talk about mastering it a little bit. But really the first one and the main takeaway is, how do I build a habit? How do I go on autopilot with the strokes that I want to work on in my game? And there's two sides of this. The first one is developing the repetitions and developing the technique. So guys like myself and Peter can tell you how to learn the proper movements. What is it exactly that I'm not doing correctly in my forehand that I could improve to get more speed or more top spin or to be more accurate and that kind of thing? That's number one. I have to learn that before I ever go on to anything else, because if I don't get the right technique, then I'm just ingraining bad habits. From there...
Can I stop you there, Clay?
Yeah.
How would you know you're doing it right?
Well, good way to be watch online videos. No, just joking.
Sure.
You kind of do have to do a little bit of research yourself. A couple ways you can watch products like we're putting out here with the Legends course and a lot of the training that we have online, or you can videotape yourself. You can watch in the mirror. You can compare yourself with pros. There's going to be a little bit of work to do that, or if you have the luxury of getting private instruction, that type of thing, that would also help you. If your pro's telling you to do something correctly, maybe you're a little bit unclear on that, you can jump into a system like mine or some of Peter's videos and really go into what is it that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I think that videotaping yourself and doing it in front of a mirror is huge. There's an app I'm just going to tell everybody about called Coach's Eye. If you have not heard of it, first of all, if you've heard of Coach's Eye and used it, and what you think about it, it's like $5, I think, and technology like this, probably 2 or 3 years ago would have cost you thousands of dollars. Maybe not 2 or 3 years ago, but certainly 5 to 7 years ago would have cost you a pretty penny. Coach's Eye, you can put it on your phone. You can compare yourself to videos you did a month ago. You can do like a split screen comparison. You can go in super slow motion, frame by frame. UberSense is the same thing. And you can also compare your stroke to like a Roger Federer or Serena Williams or Novak Djokovic. If that's, you kind of pick out, okay, this is the prototype stroke I want, and I'm going to copy this until I look just like it.
Yeah, I was actually doing that, believe it or not, earlier today. I have my iPad and I put it on a tripod, and I'll go to the court and I'll videotape some of my own strokes, and there's certain things that I'm working on or certain things that everybody's working on, and I can sit there and pull up Federer or Nadal or Djokovic or any of the top players and look side by side and really compare my strokes with theirs and see it in real time. I can draw lines, I can do different things, and it's great to use tools like that. I know not everybody's going to do that, but I think that's probably the best way to really see what's going on, for sure. So once we understand, we get those proper mechanics, and really it's about focusing in on a couple small pieces. We can't be saying that I'm going to improve my entire forehand is a little too vague or a little too general. I want to key in on one specific point. So me and Peter were talking earlier, and he was saying that not loading up correctly or not loading up early enough is a big mistake. So let's say that was what I was going to work on. and I went out to do some drills. And the very first day, I really want to make sure that I get somewhere between 100 and 300 repetitions in the first day, preferably at least 100. And the reason for this is your brain really gets rid of most of the information of things that you're doing throughout the day. You do all kinds of things that you're never going to have to do again, just one-off scenarios. But if you do something that many times, this isn't something that I've made up. This is based on neurological research from stroke victims, actually. But if you do something 100 times, it triggers something inside your brain that says, this is important, and I need to do this again. We're going to have to do this in the future, because he wouldn't have done it so many times if this wasn't something he wanted to do again. And your brain starts to go in, and that's when it starts to lay down that myelin. And it takes about 7 to 10 days to kind of start that process, and for that to really begin to lay down the myelin on those nerves. And as we practice this over the period of a month or so, it takes about 3,000 to 5,000 reps to form that initial habit. So if you want to go on autopilot, we have to realize a few of those things. We got to do at least 100 at a time, or in the first day. We got to go for 7 to 10 days just to start, and we need at least 3,000 to 5,000 reps to build that new habit. So a lot of times what I'll see is somebody will have the best intentions. They'll know exactly what they're doing. They'll be practicing the right stuff and really heading on their way to getting better. And then the next day they come out and maybe they switched over to a different subject or a different topic, and they're working on something new. And then the next day it's something else, and it just kind of ping-pongs around to a lot of different areas instead of really keying in on one and developing the myelin for that one. So that's kind of, picking one small thing and sticking with it. My personal experience, this isn't backed up on any research, but my personal experience is it takes about a month to really get comfortable with that new motion, to be able to take it to the court and have it to start to be on autopilot. And that's practicing on a regular basis, but it takes 3 to 4 weeks to really get that to sink in to where you can take it to a match. Is that kind of along the lines of what you found also?
As far as
the time?
Yeah, I definitely think so, and it's really, we were talking about this earlier. It definitely depends on the student and how diligent they are with doing this. I can ask some of my students, are you shadow stroking, and they say yes. Lots of them say no, but the ones that do say yes, it's the ones who are doing it really intensely and focusing and maybe doing it slow in the beginning and making sure it's right, and then picking up, and then also I think it's important to do this stuff, and you can tell me what you think. I think it's important to do it slowly, kind of like you're in a karate class, and going through the moves very slowly, and then build it up to a medium pace, and then pretend you're like a Roger Federer and you're stroking at it, going at it pretty hard, and maybe even turn it into a workout. And the people that do that properly, you will definitely see that it's very noticeable. There's one kid that I remember, it rained for a couple of weeks, and we were just starting to learn the continental grip on the serve, and he was only 9 years old, and we didn't get on the court for a couple of weeks, and then he came back and his serve was better. And I knew he was a worker, and I said, AJ, have you been working on your shadow strokes? And he said, yes, sir. And he's like, and I've also been going online and watching videos on the serve. And he got better, and he didn't even get on the court. But I know that he is very detailed about everything, and, when he also plays, the stroke is still there.
Yeah, that's two points with that that are really good that I think that kind of tie in with what we're talking about. The first one with your repetition. So when you're first working on a new motion, if it's something that's foreign to you and you're making a change, you're going to want to go. This is how I base all my videos. If any of you guys have seen my videos, you know that when I first do them, we don't even use a racket on a lot of them. And if we do use a racket, we definitely are not hitting a ball. And you want to go slow enough to where you can think through these different checkpoints and really get familiar. And that's why I always say to do 100 repetitions to 300 repetitions after every single video. That's to kind of kickstart that myelin. But when we first start out, really, really slow, really methodical, and we're thinking about it, every individual piece. As you start to do more, as that myelin starts to get laid down and you get comfortable with this, then you can start to speed it up. You're going to be doing this as one fluid motion. Then you can start to toss some balls and hit them. Then you can start to work with a partner or a ball machine and start to hit off a ball machine. But as you get better and better, then you kick up the intensity so that you're not only you're doing the correct technique, but you're also improving and going a little faster and faster, but only when you're ready for that, only when you're comfortable with that. And that's what later, we talked about this in the series, obviously, but he mentioned doing a lot of shadow strokes, and that's exactly how his teacher would have taught him, is showing him the correct positions, kind of pausing and doing these shadow strokes really slow, and then building it from there and going faster and faster. So, I think that is a great way to do it. Another subject, just kind of get off topic here a little bit, but the kid that you said that was 9 years old that was watching the videos and really doing it, you can actually improve. There's a technique called mirroring, and your brain can actually start to develop a little bit of that myelin by just watching something, because we have ability to kind of relate to what that feels like in our own body just by watching a person. So if you watch, a great player and you study their technique and you visualize what that would be like to have that technique, you can actually get a little better without even making any motions or repetitions at all, which is, to me, I think that's pretty neat too. It's kind of off of the topic of what we're going on today, but pretty cool though. I think that's why he did so good in just a short period of time like that.
Yeah, well, I think it's like kind of off topic, but then not, because the kids that I've taught I teach, I'm just not teaching high-level kids or low-level kids. I've kind of taught all over the place, and I was able to develop 3 kids that ended up being top 30 in the nation. A couple were in the top 10, and
Nice.
they loved tennis so much that they did naturally what you'd beg people to do. They would actually greet each other sometimes with shadow stroking, and it wasn't something you had to tell them to do. And you could tell that they were always kind of picturing themselves in situations like the pros. They wanted to pretend that they were pros, and I think that that's part of how kids can maybe get so good so early, is that they like to pretend. And if they like something, they want to pretend that they're just like what they're seeing on TV, and they're thinking about it, and that's how they can achieve that rapid success. And also, to me, tennis is way behind on this because again, I'm on the court every day with students. So and I can tell you that lots of kids and adults, when I talk about shadow stroking, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why in the world would I do that? Just let me hit some balls. And if you look at any other sport, you look at boxing. I mean, there's the term shadow boxing. They don't think that that's weird. I was teaching somebody a week ago, and then there was a guy who was a boxer came out on the court, and he was jumping rope, and then he would do a round of punches. You could tell he was pretending that he was in a round of boxing. Anytime that you watch somebody get ready to shoot a free throw, you always see them practice their follow through. And then Clay can maybe talk about this a little more. Before I get to golf, karate. I mean, karate, I think they make those kids, the martial arts, they make the kids and the adults do these types of movements for months before they're even allowed to fight somebody.
Yeah.
And we do it as weird. And Clay comes from golf, and before anybody hits any golf shot, what's part of the ritual? They take the practice swing. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a huge part in golf. You get up and you visualize, when you're actually playing, you visualize the stroke in your head, so you have a complete picture of what you want to do, and then you do a practice swing to try to recreate the feeling for that, just like a shadow stroke, and then you go up and you hit the ball. That's with every repetition or every stroke that you play. You'll notice that pros pretty much take a practice swing every time, or a shadow stroke. Also, we just practice like that in golf too. I had a great story from I was teaching a golfer, Robin Wingard, played at University of Tennessee, he's All-American at Tennessee, really good player, really, really hard work ethic. And we were talking about, he was doing something a little bit incorrect at impact, and we were working on getting the proper impact. And, he kind of knew, he had read our stuff, and he knew that, doing a lot of these reps was really going to make it ingrained. And he went home and did 7,000 reps in his living room of the correct repetitions in one day. And I think he said it took him, I can't remember what it was. I believe it was like 6 or 7 hours. He said it took him to do all the reps. But that's kind of the extreme example of doing it correctly and going, with these superstar athletes. You look at a guy like Rod Lavery, like you said, practicing until 12 o'clock at night. That's the extreme of what they do. We don't all have to go that far, but we just kind of got to realize that if we want to get better, there's nothing wrong with shadow stroking. All the best players are doing things like this in all kinds of different sports,
Yeah, and I've seen videos of Murray and Sharapova doing it, and doing some pretty hard workouts with it too. I did want to get to some things because we have had some comments, so I don't want people to think we're not paying attention to you. So Ralph says he just bought, and I'm assuming it's the talent code, Ralph. He said he bought that. He just went on Kindle and bought that book there, Clay. So you made an impression on him.
That's a great book. He'll like it. It's got a lot of good stories in there. It's not even just sports when you're talking about building a myelin. It even comes down with intellect. And I think I mentioned this to you, Pete, but when they autopsied Albert Einstein, they found that he had a lot more myelin, something like 40% more myelin in his brain than the average person, and especially in a part of his brain that was used to communicate with different areas. So he was able to transmit signals in his brain and think faster and more clearly than the average person would be because he built up myelin, and he did that by constantly pushing his barrier. We'll actually get to that next slide, but actually forcing himself to kind of go to the next level. But yeah, that's a great book. It's really good.
One person wants to know how do you spell myelin?
Myelin.
Okay.
Myelin. Sorry, my accent may not be the best.
We've kind of answered this as far as how long does it take to develop and modify the stroke. Can you just give us a quick answer in case people forgot out there?
So how long it's going to take to really get the habit in, you're saying?
Yeah. I know we kind of answered it, but I just want to make sure that we're going through individually. And then we got a controversial one, so you better be ready.
Okay. I can handle it. Yeah, so I find it's basically about a month is to really get comfortable with it. If you want to give yourself a fair shake, sticking with one thing for about a month. Now you can develop multiple habits at once. It doesn't mean that you just have to do one. You can be doing some habits for your serve, for your forehand, backhand, footwork. You can be working on those simultaneously, but you got to get the reps in on a regular basis over a period of a month is what I've found. But the science behind it says 3,000 to 5,000 reps.
Mm-hmm. And then we have somebody challenging you, which is perfectly fine. Jeremy, who says he studied neuroscience himself. Now he wrote kind of a long little section here, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But he basically said that he doesn't know if you're really touching on true science. And he says, where is a study that shows muscles in an actual human to go from having zero myelination to lots of it?
Well, they do. They actually have machines now that can measure the amount of myelin that's in people's bodies. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But everybody has myelin on the nerves, so you're not going to have one that's completely unmyelinated. Something like multiple sclerosis is actually when the myelin gets worn away from the nerves or degenerates, and that's why people have trouble firing their muscles and things like that. Really, when I talked about like a 2 mile an hour nerve, that would be a very extreme case from maybe like a newborn baby or something like that that has very slow myelin. And then the 275 miles an hour would be a very, probably a high-level athlete doing something that they really know how to do well. There's multiple studies on that kind of stuff. I don't have them in front of me or anything like that as a resource, but if you do a quick Google search, you should be able to find some of that. Just to be clear, I'm definitely not a neuroscientist. I don't have a PhD in neuroscience. This is all basically what I've read from people that are neuroscientists and been able to apply it. So, I'm definitely not claiming to be, a world expert on this kind of stuff, but this is just my research and what I've found on it. And I think it's, really applicable to sports, and it's really helped me to become comfortable with the struggle. Understanding that it's going to take a little bit of time, but if I'm heading on the right path, it's gonna come over time. Does that answer his question, or does he have?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that's good enough. So continue to go on with your presentation. Is there more for us?
Yeah, just a couple more slides here. The second part of it, and this is what he talked about a lot in the book, and what that'd be a good one if he searches for Dr. K. Anders Ericsson, Ericsson, I believe. He talks about some of this stuff, and if he searches for the talent code, it lists some doctors in there and some other research papers that are out there if he wants to look at that. But the second part of this, which is really going to help to boost that myelin, not only the number of reps, but how we do the reps. So we need to be constantly taking it to the edge of what we can do and struggling and failing, and kind of imagine if you a kid learning to ride a skateboard, and as they're first starting to learn to ride, they're going to be falling down and they're really on the edge of what they can do. You come back a few months later and they're going to be skating fine. You come back a couple years later and they're going to be going off jumps and doing all kinds of crazy tricks and stuff. Well, that's constantly being pushed to the edge of what's capable, and that's how you really intensify the production of this and do it very well. So got a picture of Andre Agassi there from, I don't know, he looks like he's probably 8 years old, maybe something like that. And his dad set up a system for him, probably not the best parenting, but set up a system which would be ideal for creating massive amounts of really good coordination. So basically, he had a Prince tennis ball machine. I'm sure some of you probably heard this story, but he had this Prince tennis ball machine. He souped up the engine, his dad did. He was shooting like 100 mile an hour, 120 mile an hour balls out of the tennis ball machine. He hiked it up over the net, and he just had it pelt away. 2,500 repetitions a day is what Andre had to do every day. 2,500 repetitions, 2,500 shots, and that's pushing him. Not only was it the repetitions, but the intensity. Those balls were coming very fast for an 8-year-old. That's extremely fast, and on top of that, his dad's yelling at him to hit it harder and go faster and do more. So he's constantly kind of on that edge of what he can do, what he can't do, and that's kind of, when you have a blueprint of what you think would be great for developing this. That's how it would be, is a lot of repetitions and a really, really intense focus as you're doing it. And then finally here, talking about the elite athletes, this is where the Dr. Ericsson was really focused on, was what gets to a master level. And when we're looking at these guys, they're somewhere between, and Laver and the guys in the Legend series also, somewhere between 3,000 and 10,000 hours of deep practice or intense practice. So they developed their technique very early, and then they went on for thousands of hours to really hone in those habits and make them to where they're second nature to get to that level. But that's kind of the ballpark of how many hours somebody has to practice to get to that level of competition. And then we got a couple notes here. So if you guys wanted to write down a few things, I don't know if you want to take these with you, just about some of the reps and things like that, then you can do so, and just a synopsis of it. So do we get any other questions on anything? Does anybody have any? I'll take off the screen share here if we can do that.
Now I'm on. Oh, yeah, I'm on.
There we go.
Great job, Clay.
Yeah, thanks. Good. Hope people enjoyed that. I know to me, it really changed everything on how I teach, just because it made complete sense of what it really takes to get emotion down. And that's just a high-level kind of synopsis of it. That's not. There's books and books that have been written on that subject, so that's just kind of the general idea with it. But I think it's some good points to take away from there if you're looking to improve your technique,
Absolutely. What did you guys enjoy that presentation? Was that pretty good? I thought it was very good. That was kind of my vision last night, is to get on here and just share and have a lot of fun. So very, very good. Now, Clay, you're in this course with us in the Legends Guide to Tennis Mastery, and within the course, you also have a membership that people can check out. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a free membership on the website, and there's a link from the course And I can do a screen share again real quick.
Yeah, do a screen share so people can see. Like I said, there's so much inside the course. Again, I don't want it to sound like I'm downplaying what the legends do, because that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. I think it's a piece of tennis history, but there's also tons of great instruction from other instructors like Clay. So Clay, show us a little bit of that, and I will be quiet so the screen will go to you.
Okay, can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. I didn't know if you could see that. Okay, so basically when you sign up for your free membership and you go to your home page, my whole system is really based around a step-by-step process and kind of along what we talked about today. So as you go into the system, it's going to give you different badges, and you can actually work through these levels. This is my personal one, so I haven't done any of the lessons in the system.
Can you actually make it a little bigger? Can you make it bigger on there, or no?
How's that?
Yeah.
That work? Okay. Yeah, so I'll actually go to the instruction section here. And a certain amount of these are going to be unlocked for you with your free membership. And we have the different sections. So if it's two-hand, backhand, serve, forehand, those types of things. So if we just jump in the forehand section, everything's laid out in a system. So you start with level 1. That's going to go over the basics of the forehand. So if we go to level 1 here, that's going to go with the forehand grip. It's going to go stance, things like that. And as you work on each one of these individual drills, so 3 different drills in level 1, as I click on this, I can watch the video. I'm going to have a series of a progression of drills to do at the end of every video, and then once you complete those drills, you can actually go down here, mark the lesson complete, and it gives you some points, and you work toward boosting your ranking on the site and that type of thing. But I wanted to make sure that I gave specific drills with each individual video, and it's set up in a system where people can work through that. So with your free membership, you're going to have a certain amount of these unlocked, and you'll see new videos that come out and be able to take a look at those. And then you can see here how this is set up, where we're in level 1 right now, and it goes all the way up to level 7. I'm working on, most of them are up to level 3, even a couple level 4s, but we're working to add, somewhere around 2 to 3 new videos every day to really grow the system, and it ties right in with doing the 100 to 300 reps every time that you go in and do a drill, so you can really work to start building the myelin as you're working through the process. So I think it's a good way to do it, and that's what I want to give everybody the tools to be able to kind of work through that system. I thought it would be great.
Well, absolutely. Clay is an excellent instructor, and so yeah, when you get inside, I want to make it clear, when you get inside the Legends Guide to Tennis Mastery, we have a section that just features Clay, and he's got it's kind of cool. He takes you through a progression on how you can add a lot of, and maybe you can expand on that too, but how you can develop a forehand and make it a powerful weapon. I know you have one video called the wrecking ball technique. So explain to everybody what your goal is inside of that section that you're teaching.
Yeah, so the bonus series that we did on there with the forehand, we talk a little bit about building on what we really did today. I give you actual 5-step process, more geared toward technique. Today's video was just over the overview on how to build some myelin and that type of thing. This is more of a 5-step process on when we're specifically talking about technique. I'm going to give that in one video, and then there's several more videos that go over how to transfer energy from your body. So this is something that sometimes is misunderstood, but when we're hitting a forehand, we need to create some momentum with our torso, and obviously you know this, Pete, but we're creating some rotation and some weight transfer to the other side, and then we're going to transfer that energy out to our arm and eventually the racket and into the ball. And I go over a good video called the wrecking ball video, where I talk about how to transfer that energy and create rotation with the body. And then I have a lag and snap forehand video where I talk about how to really get that racket to lag back behind, which you're going to see all the pros do, and then to release the racket so that you can transfer the energy actually into the ball. So I think it can help people pick up some speed on their forehand and get some good topspin too, if that's something they're looking to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great stuff. One thing I want to do, and everybody, if you just kind of give me a little positive energy out there, and hope I can pull this off, because again, this is one of my first Google Hangouts, so I want to try and share the screen. I know that a lot of you are out there. I'm getting a lot of emails. You know, we've had a number of people check out the course already, give us very positive feedback. But then, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, Clay?
I can hear you great. Yeah.
Okay. It looked like it paused. But I know too. You know, a lot of you go, well, you know, what's exactly inside? You know, we did the sales video to kind of go through an overview of what you may be able to get. We did the presentation. But I thought it'd be cool if I showed you what it actually looks like inside, so it's kind of no surprises. And I want you to kind of understand the way it's built, so you can see, you know, how big it is and the proper way to navigate around it too. Because I know also going through a course can kind of be like a kid in a candy store, and you want to go through everything as much as you can go through, as fast as you can go through it, and I just want to make sure that you guys understand the proper way to go through it. Now that looks like that's on me. How do I get to that website? Let me. I think I blew that there. Let me try one more time. I'm going to share the entire screen. I think that's what I need to do.
Yeah, screen share and do the entire screen is the one that I did.
Entire screen share. All right, and then I'm going to lower that. Clay, can you see now the?
I can see it now. Perfect. Yeah, it's great.
All right. So when you get inside the course, one thing, you're going to meet your main coaches here. You got Fred Stolle. A lot of people don't realize that Fred Stolle, you've probably heard him on ESPN. I grew up listening to Fred Stolle and Cliff Drysdale on ESPN, you know, staying up early in the morning, watching the Australian Open. But Cliff, he was kind of like Lendl in a way, too. He lost 5 major finals in singles before he won his first major, and then he won 2 major singles, and he won, I believe, like 17 doubles. And if you look in your tennis magazine this month, he is considered one of the top 50 players of all time. He made that cut, and in the draw, no, you know what, I'm sorry, it's the 50th anniversary, and they have 32 of the top players. So you can read more about Fred. We have videos of all of them in here, too, kind of playing their old matches. And then they've all got their own module. And so I think that through learning through other courses I've made, we've made it pretty easy to navigate. So here is actually Nuke talking about the fantasy camp. So you can also, if you want to learn more on that, you can come here and watch the video and then learn more about the fantasy camp, because I've been talking a lot about it, and it is one of the best weeks ever. And then you just go to the next videos. And so all the legends have their section, and we also back it up with articles and you know, kind of key points that you can get from what you're watching. This is actually right here, Clay, which is pretty good. Is Nuke talks about after a match, he would take himself in a quiet place. He said you had to do it right after. You couldn't like go, well, I'll think about it tonight. He's like, right after a match, what you want to do is you want to figure out what you did right and what you did wrong and what you need to do to improve the next match. And I think a lot of us, when we lose, we just tend to throw ourselves a pity party, you know, and we don't really think about, well, wait a second, what can I do so this doesn't happen again? You know, prime example was last night. I was throwing myself a pity party, but I really said, you know what, this is not going to happen again to me tonight. I cannot go through this humiliation, embarrassment. So this sheet right here, you can take and you can go through and really rate, you know, how you played that match. Of course, you're not going to remember point by point, but you can kind of use it and go, okay, generally I thought I was hitting my forehand well, and we break the court into different areas, and you give yourself a rating, and so you can, you know, kind of figure out, well, what just happened there, and what can I do to get that better?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
I can make it so much easier than, I mean, if you don't have a sheet like that, then you really got to think through all of it, and it takes a lot of time. If you got something to fill out like that, that'd be a great way to analyze your match, even if you just have like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people get off the court and they're like, well, you're depressed, and you're also kind of like, when you lose, it's kind of this you're lost in the fog kind of thing. Like you're like, well, what just happened out there? But if you get yourself in a quiet corner right after the match, you can kind of go, okay, well, the guy kept hitting the ball high to my backhand. I'm gonna have to give my backhand a lower mark. But on the other hand, it wasn't all bad. I actually hit my forehand pretty darn good today because we're so black and white with winning and losing, and we assume that if we lost, the whole game just stunk. Where if you really just be realistic about it and think about it, you'll probably give yourself some high marks for certain things and go, yeah, that's doing pretty good. This definitely is the spot I need to work on. Roy Emerson, who is awesome, by the way. I played on his team one year, and every morning before a match, he'd go, flat to the boards, mate. And what he meant was he wanted me to go out there and he wanted me to warm up really hard so that when you were playing your first point, you were playing on all cylinders. And so Roy goes over a lot of double stuff. Now, another thing that I don't want you to miss out on, besides just being me, and wanting you to watch my videos, is I think we did a great job of going through some doubles warm-up drills. So when you click this, so you might just think, oh, that's just one video. No, you click it, and then there's other sections within here that can show you how to warm up for a doubles match properly. If you watch video number 3, Fred Stolle said, hey, when people go out and play doubles, or singles, they hit a ton of ground strokes, they take a couple volleys, a couple overheads, and they take a couple serves and they're ready to go. Don't work on the return. This warm-up drill is going to make sure it kind of goes almost the exact opposite, and where we start from the net and we got drills at the net, we go into return to serve drills, we go into transitioning from the no man's land to the net. We talk about if you're in the hot seat, how you can get better. This is let me go back one. So I think that this is a very valuable section right here. This shows, like, so many people, and even when we were going through the free training, I saw a lot of people comment on, well, I don't know how to play that net, especially I feel pressure up there when my partner is serving. This shows how you can improve, how you get better at the poach. This guy, by the way, right here is an awesome player. It shows how you can find sweet spots on the court for when people hit at you at the net, where you should be placing the ball. So if I just blow this up a little more, this guy right here, he's top 20 in Georgia. His name's Carver. He's 15 years old. And we basically talked about that. One of the sweet spots when people nail the ball at you, we have a drill on how you can get good at this. This spot's kind of always open. So there's a free tip right there, but you want to make sure that you really develop that skill. So we got some drills you can do to get better at the net.
How many videos are in this altogether? Have you ever told them up? I mean, there's tons.
I believe it's about 200, and we're going to be adding more videos too. I did a whole bunch of video analysis with the kids from Texas, and I haven't even put that in the course yet there, Clay.
That's awesome.
Just because I don't want people to get overwhelmed. Another thing I want to point out is Rod Laver, who's so awesome. He talked about the shadow swings. We also went over one of his favorite drills, and they were 2-on-1. So what we did is we added a bunch of different versions you can do, and you'll get to see me get a good workout in here. But if you're watching these and you're like, yeah, this gives me a lot of ideas to go out there, and I don't care if you're singles or doubles, you do these drills, number one, you're going to get in better shape. Your feet are going to be moving. You're going to be more consistent, and you're going to be better all over the court. So I know lots of people, besides just hearing the instruction, they want to go, well, where are the drills I can do? Like, that was a good point. I understand the technique. Now, what can I do to go hit the court? This video here, if you end up getting the course, do not miss out on this. This is about how you can prepare and periodization. Clay, have you studied much on periodization?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so what this is basically about is athletes peak about 5 to 6 times a year to where they're playing their absolute best. And you can't just play great all year. And the good thing is, if you're practicing properly, you're not going to play terrible all year either. You know, you want to basically structure your year out to where you're playing pretty good to you're on fire. And you need to each kind of season you go through has 4 parts through it, to where you want part of your season where you can be working on your technique. You can be working on trying different shots. And then you also need to have a part of the season that transitions into lots of practice matches. So by the time you get to the most important part, like let's say you're trying to win a city championship, or you have like a part of the year that's like your tournament season, that you're going in on all cylinders. You're firing on all cylinders. So that's what this is about. I think it's about 30 to 40 minutes long, and it goes through all of that for you.
That may have been what happened to, that's kind of what a lot of people were saying could have happened to Federer this last couple, matches. He didn't really take much time off in the year. Maybe didn't give himself enough rest to get recuperated and playing his best again. Does that kind of tie in with what it goes over in that video?
It's exactly what it goes over, and that you said that, not only did people talk about it, Federer talked about it. Now, who did he lose to again? It's somebody he's played a ton of times and always beats like a drum. Who was the guy?
Seppi.
Seppi, and I know Seppi's a great player, by the way. No one's bad out there, right? They're all amazing. But he did come off the court, and everybody wants to know what's wrong with you, Roger. What's wrong with you, Roger? And he's just sitting there going, "Yeah, I don't know." And one of the things he said is, "I just didn't have it today." He goes, "I really felt great coming into the tournament. I've been playing so well," and he was the hottest player on tour going into it. He just kind of smirked and laughed and said, "Maybe I peaked too early." Here we have a lot of return to serve drills you can do. So this goes over singles and doubles return to serve drills that you can do, and then here, in my mind, are training from some of the best coaches in the world. Now, Top Tennis Training, they're incredible. These guys. By the way, the email I sent at 8 o'clock. Go back to that. They played a prank on me and they put it on YouTube. Little did I know that was going to be the best part of my night. So I called Alex and Simon Clay, and it's 2 in the morning over there, and Alex answers. He's like, "Hello," and I said, "Alex, are you asleep?" And he goes, "What? It's 2 in the morning." And I said, "Alex, we're on in 20 minutes." He's like, "No, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow." And I'm going, "No, it's tonight." And so then they both start laughing. Alex and Simon start laughing. I thought, "Oh, that was the nightmare." And then we didn't even get the darn thing to work. But
that's awesome.
They're going to come back too. They're coming back, so I'll go through that in a little bit. But anyway, they have a section. Cosman's got a section. He's very cool. These guys, Top Tennis Training, they're going to teach you in this section how to just belt the ball. They got some cool videos on how you can just crush it. You got to watch this guy hit a one-hander. It's freakishly good. And one thing I definitely want to point out: everybody's got their section, and the course is 197. And we got Clay, and we'll just go through here, Clay. So you can always find their links. I'm all about, if guys are teaching good stuff here. Here's his link. I'm going to share it. I'm not all about it's just all about me. I think I do a good job online, but I'm certainly not the only one. It's all about information, and so he takes us through this right here, and then we've got his free membership is right here. If you click on that, you get the free membership. So Clay, I want to thank you on air for doing that. I think it's really cool.
It's been awesome to be part of it. It's really this is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, I think these literally are the best coaches in the world. The Tennis Vault, they've got about 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. They've got a volley section. Brent Abel goes over doubles. Kevin Garlington, who's a good friend of mine and one of my favorite coaches online, he's got a ton of videos on the forehand and serve. And then I do want to make a point of this. Tennis One gave us a 3-hour serve and volley course. You just go in here, you know, don't go into this course without checking this out. 3-hour serve and volley course, and a couple of the instructors are Tim Mayotte, who was top 10 in the world, and Ken Flack, who was #1 in the world in doubles. They've got a couple of videos on the volley. You think they might know something about the volley there, Clay?
I bet they've hit a couple good ones.
So that's everything inside the course, and I'm actually going to be adding more content to it. But what I also want you guys to know is yesterday we had a first day incentive on opening the course to where you could get 6 live coaching calls, and Clay, you're going to be on another call, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come back for another one. Yeah,
so Clay's going to be on a call, Top Tennis Training, Kevin. I mean, pretty much everybody you see in here is happy to come back. It was for the first day, but I blew it last night. So I want to reward anybody who's on the webinar tonight. If you order tonight by midnight, you're going to get the first day incentive, which includes 6 more live coaching calls like this. It includes a live coaching call with John Newcomb.
Man, how cool is that?
That's pretty cool. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. But yeah, it includes a coaching call with John Newcomb. It includes and that's going to be March 2nd, by the way. And it includes a raffle to win a free Babolat racket. And it includes a raffle to go to Tennis Fantasies for it's a $5,000 value, and it's really priceless, because I know everybody that goes there, thinks, wow, this is actually a bargain.
Yeah.
This is a bargain that we're here. This is not going to last forever. So what I'm going to
do, that many players of that caliber in the same place at one time. I mean, that probably doesn't happen anywhere.
Oh no, because you've got all the legends that are in the course here, and you've got Rick Leach and Mark Woodford, and it's crazy. Everybody who's there, it's really, really cool. So what I'm going to do here is, in the Facebook comments, I'm going to put the link. I went off there. Why did I do that? Sorry, I'm trying to get back to the page. Can you still hear me, Clay?
Oh yeah, you're good. I can still see and hear you fine.
Okay. No, I don't want to leave the page. Stay on the page. Okay, there we go. Now, how do I add a? Okay, I add a comment right here. All right, so I'm going to put the link right there, and if you sign up by midnight Pacific tonight, we're gonna open up the first day incentive, because I feel bad, and I'm very appreciative that everybody came back. Well, not everybody, but the guys who did come back, the guys and the ladies who came back tonight, I want to do something special for you by offering that first day incentive, which again is the 6 live coaching calls. It is a call with John Newcomb where you can be on and pick the brain of a guy who won 25 Grand Slams. I mean, that right there, how many people can say that they got to do that in their lifetime? And it's special, because I can tell you, I can't believe I actually got to talk to these guys, and it's really cool. So you get to be on for that, win a Babolat racket, maybe end up at Tennis Fantasies. So we'll be checking the orders tonight, and so that anybody who signs up tonight will be sure to get that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh the comments, Clay, in case anybody has left more questions for us.
Okay.
And then we'll probably be jumping off here. Somebody asked, this is a technical question, Norman asked, why does the video toggle between you and the slides in Freeman? And that's just the way Google Hangout works, is if it detects motion and sound. So if Clay is giving his presentation, and I, moved too much. So sorry, Clay. Sometimes it came back to my mug. So I apologize out there for that. Let me see if we have any more questions. I'm just going to refresh the screen one more time and see if we have any more questions. And guys, if you have last-minute questions, ask them now because there is a little bit of a delay, maybe. I'm not sure. It's hard for us to know. Wow, there's 39 comments all of a sudden. Very good. So there's no magic bullet, Ralph says.
Wish there was.
Yeah, I wish there was too. Let's see. Also, great discussion of the 10,000 rule of mastery. Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers. That's pretty good. That's from Mike Peterson, Mike Peters, who I actually knew in California, and did some lessons. So
that's a good book, Outliers. I've read all of Malcolm Gladwell's books. That's a really good book. All his books are great. One of the guys that I was saying, K. Anders Ericsson is one of the original researchers that did this back in '93 or '96. He did a lot of research on athletes and figuring out how long it took them to reach that mastery. And I was actually talked to him on the phone a couple days ago, and super nice guy. He's got a few articles. If you type in K. Anders Ericsson into Google and go to his homepage at Florida State, he's got a few articles on there. They're more research text-based articles, so they're not as exciting as a Malcolm Gladwell or Dan Coyle or something like that. But if you did want to look into more of this type of stuff, he's got some good research papers on there.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I'm just going to refresh one more time. Guys, remember by midnight tonight, you can go on to that link. I'll put it. It's up there at the top. So if you're on this page, it is the top comment right now at the top, I believe. I don't know if it looks different for other people on pages. Clay, is my link the top comment for you on the page?
Let's see. I'll go check here. I don't believe I have my comments on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Must not.
So hopefully you guys see it there. I guess I'll send an email out to the webinar list if they were on, and that is about it. We're going to actually be on tomorrow night and Friday night because we're making this peak performance week. It's always going to be this website, so we don't get confused and off track. I really apologize the wild goose chase we were on the last couple of days. So it's always just going to be here on this site. So we're going to have fun all week. Tomorrow we got Brent Abel, who and the cool thing about Brent is he teaches what he does. He goes out there and at pretty much every age level is competing for national titles. Ever since he's been, a junior to playing in his 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, he's always out there competing for national titles and winning gold balls. And so lots of what he does is he explains, this is the kind of stuff I do to train to be able to do that. And he's going to go over 5 key principles that he learned and that he believes helped him win some national doubles titles. He's like, when he learned this from a guy named Tom Stowe, he's like, yeah, that was kind of the secret sauce for me. And so he's going to share that tomorrow with everybody at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So if you're getting any more old emails from RunClick, don't pay attention to them. It's 9 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Time with Brent Abel. And then on Friday night, we got Coach Krill, who's going to go over the top 3 mistakes he sees people make. He teaches a lot on the court too. And he basically sees that on ground strokes and volleys, there's 3 key things that people keep kind of doing over and over again. And he also gives the solution on ways you can improve that. So I'm going to refresh the screen one more time. If there's no more comments, we're going to sign off for the night. And I really appreciate everybody being here. This was 1,000 times.
That was great.
1,000 times better than last night. So anyway, I see there's two more comments, but I don't know what they are. I'm just gonna scroll a little bit more because there's two more comments. I don't want to miss anybody. Scott said very informative.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, Clay, thank you very much for being on the call tonight.
And hey, thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun. I was glad that you guys put up with me for an hour.
You were awesome. And I want to thank everybody who hung out there. We've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. There's still 56 people on the call. So most of you stuck around, and I appreciate that. And I hope you're back tomorrow. And I'm going to stop the broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Good night, everybody.
See you guys later.